Hey, welcome back to DieCash Cars. So today we are going to be talking about loose super treasure hunts and sought after Hot Wheels casts. And I've been waiting for a good opportunity to talk about this topic because I don't particularly collect loose super treasure hunts, and if it's a rare casting, I, for the most part, will look for it in carded form. But one day, again, perusing eBay, I did come across this lot of these four cars right here. So you got the 240Z Super Treasure Hunt, you got the Boulevard Nissan Skyline 2000 GTX, Speed Machines. We all know how popular Speed Machines are right now with the reawakening of that premium car culture set. And this is the OG Nissan GTR in burnt orange with those co-mold wheels from Speed Machines. And then you also have this black wall. This is actually my first Hot Wheels black wall from the 1980s. A Nissan Z, or rather the Datsun Z Whiz with the green livery. And for a lot like this, although loose, you would still expect to pay north of $100 just given the prestige of each one of these casts and how sought after they are and the age that they all have. But surprisingly, I was able to pick up this lot for $65 after taxes and fees. It came out to about $75. So $75 for four pretty awesome JDM casts, all Datsun, all Nissan. So again, right up the alley right now as far as trending cars. So I personally felt like this was a steal of a deal because if you look at each one of these cars in carded format, the 240Z right now sells for about $65. The Speed Machines GTR is selling for about $70. The Boulevard 2000 GTX Skyline currently right now at about $65. And then the Z-Wiz, kind of a throw-in car, but for the most part, you're probably going to find that car only in loose format just given its age, but it's going for about $10 to $15. So if you take those carded values and you apply the DieCash rule of thumb for loose cars and what their value should be at about 60%, I mean, the overall value of all four of these cars comes out to about $130. So diving into each one of these cars, just to give you guys an idea as to why they still hold a good amount of value, even though they are in loose format, starting with this Datsun 240Z Super Treasure Hunt. I mean, I gotta say, my favorite thing about this cast is that it is designed by Mr. Junimai himself. You can tell by the fact that it does say Imai on the rear quarter panel in black. I also like the fact that they paid homage to BRE with this car. You can tell by the stripes that are on the front fenders, very reminiscent of BRE. And then the other really cool thing about this particular car, this cast, is that it is the variation. It does have a cream top, whereas I've seen other examples of this release with a white top. So pretty interesting there. But on top of that, we know there is just an overwhelming demand for Datsuns and JDM cast. The 240Z is no exception, just given its lineage within the Hot Wheels format. I mean, dating back to the Z-Wiz all the way to modern day being one of the earliest JDM Super Treasure Hunts out there. I mean, there's no questioning why this cast, even in loose format, still has value. Next up, you got the Boulevard Nissan Skyline 2000 GTX. And what can I say, the Boulevard line has definitely had its resurgence back into modern day Hot Wheel collecting, and this being one of the originals from earlier back in the days when Boulevard just started to get off the ground. I mean, you gotta admit that this is one of those cars that you would love to have in your collection, even though in loose format. I mean, this car just looks great in this brilliant metallic gray paint. I like that even back then they went the extra effort of putting the matte black on the fenders as well as the hood to mimic carbon fiber. It's got the right wheels, the Watanabes, just right for the era of this car. Very simple from a tempo work standpoint, just the Skyline on the front fender and the taillights on the back, but just super clean and crisp for the age that it was released in. The Speed Machines Nissan GTR, and the one thing that I love about this release in particular is that it's the first and only time that Hot Wheels ever acknowledged the V-Spec trim model on the GTR casting. It's just a minor detail, guys, but it's that trim model that gives this car in real life just that much more performance. So just a nice touch from Hot Wheels. Again, with it being Speed Machines, it does come with these cold mold wheels, which I know a lot of people aren't really fans of because it doesn't have rubber tires, but I've always grown up liking these wheels just because I feel like they give this car so much of an edge compared to just regular wheels that come off the regular main line. And I may honestly be the one person out there that is excited to see these cold mold wheels come back in the premium car culture lineup of Speed Machines. And then there's the original OG, the old school Datsun 240Z, or the Z-Whiz as it's called. And this one not being the original one, the more famous one that has orange graphics in it as well too. This one is a variation that has the green graphics on the hood along with the green body, but again, just happy to have an example of this cast in my collection. Again, I mentioned it earlier, but my first black wall, I mean, you can see that it is in pretty beat up condition, but it's pretty cool. It's a piece of history, full metal base, metal body. I mean, these are the wheels on the Hot Wheels that I remember growing up as a kid too, so kind of nice to have it in my collection. And honestly, it being in this beat up condition kind of gives it a little bit of a character to it as well too, which you can really appreciate from a collector standpoint. So really not a bad deal if there are some cats out there that you don't want to pay full-blown secondary market value for, but you do want them in your collection. It doesn't hurt to pick them up in loose format, because I do feel like there is a lot more leniency as far as negotiating what that price is. Again, DieCash rule of thumb, 60% for a loose car. But at the same time, you can always negotiate, and obviously when you buy in lots and in bulk, you can definitely get better deals. But after picking up this lot, it also made me think about my own situation with the factory sealed EK9 Super Treasure Hunt that I pulled out of the master set just a couple weeks ago. Again, you guys saw my video, you guys saw how disappointed I was in this card coming directly from Mattel and Hot Wheels, and I was immediately hit with that dilemma. Do I keep it? Do I display it? I mean, if you throw it in a protector, it'll look fine, but at the same time it just hurts, right? Because it's a factory sealed car. It's obviously limited. 1,250 pieces were made worldwide with the factory sealed sticker coming out of the master sets. I mean, from a value breakdown standpoint, the factory sealed EK9 Super Treasure Hunt on a good card currently right now selling for about $175 to $180. Surprisingly too, there has been a number of instances of bad EK9 Super Treasure Hunt cards coming out of the master set. Quite a few. If you just go peruse eBay, there's got to be at least 5 or 6 of them already, whether they're listed or have been already sold. They're all kind of hovering around that $125 price range. A regular carded Super Treasure Hunt without the factory sealed sticker sells for about $150 right now. And again, that is surprising, guys, because that is a bump up from just maybe about a month ago. I mean, the hype and the demand for these golden nuggets is for real, guys. And then you got the EK9 loose Super Treasure Hunts right now selling for about $75. So the approach I took with this was by calculation. I mean, how much money is this car really worth in this bent card format versus if I were to just open it up? And in all honesty, there would definitely be some level of enjoyment keeping this card as a loose car, just given how much I actually like this Super Treasure Hunt. And that ultimately allowed me to make this decision. I opened it in perfect timing. It is Friday, so Freedom Friday, guys. My first and only EK9 Super Treasure Hunt in loose format, and man, this thing always surprises me, guys, every time I look at it. I mean, in loose format and being able to turn it 360 degrees looks even better out of card. And as you can see, guys, I did acetone this pack. I felt like it's still a Super Treasure Hunt. It is factory sealed. I at least want to keep this card in good condition. And worst case scenario, if I ever regret the decision, I could always super glue it back together. But right now, this car in loose format is about $75 as previously stated. By my math, guys, a bent card factory sealed EK9 Super Treasure Hunt sells for about $125. A loose Super Treasure Hunt sells for $75, so essentially I just lost $50 right there by opening up this super But at the same time, guys, I didn't buy this secondary market. I got it out of the master set, which again, you guys have seen my video about the value of what I pulled out of that master set as a whole. So in all honesty, I mean, I probably realistically only paid $1.50 for this car, right? So it's not really gonna hurt me to open it. And again, this is definitely gonna be a personal collection piece for me, just given how much I really do admire this cast and this super. But there it is, guys, the rarest EK9 Super Treasure Hunt, 1 out of 1250, loose, opened, out of pack, essentially destroying the value and the significance of this car. But what can you say? My arm was twisted. Hot Wheels and Mattel just crushed the card, crushed my dreams and hopes for this card, so I'd rather have it in loose format where it's going to give me that much more enjoyment. But just a quick video for you guys. Hopefully it inspires you to get some of these cars that you feel like are so rare out of pack, guys, because in all honesty, they're just toys. They're meant for enjoyment, and honestly, you can always justify one way or another why you would open up a car to add to your collection, guys. But that's it. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on DieCash Cars.